Well, as Carl said, the Warriors have won 2 in a row. They're on a streak. They're in the top 8. Can they stay there, Carl?
I think they will be after this week for sure. But then it gets a little bit tougher. I like them. I think I said last week, I'm not going to go too overboard, but I said last week, if Sean Johnson plays, they win. And the silkiness that he had and the touch that he had with the ball in hand, they in that first half, it looked good. It looked real good.
I've got to say I was impressed with him because I guess a few years ago, before he left the Warriors, he would try and win games, I guess, by himself on his own, but through his own silky skills individually. Now he's using those skills to put other players in try-scoring positions or in better positions than he finds himself in. So that part of the game I've been very impressed by him.
And that's who they brought back, right? They didn't buy
they don't want the guy who could
flashy, steppy guy. Like, sure, if it's available, do it.
And I'm sure we'll see glimpses of that during the season.
Yeah.
But that was a very big positive from their match on the weekend. Blake, are you as enthused about the Warriors' chances of staying in the top 8 for the remainder of the season?
Listen, I was pretty high on them at the start of the year. I think I did have them 6th or 7th. I'm a coin toss at the moment. I really can't. It does depend on personnel. Like I think when we had the tip last week, I might have tipped the Broncos to win, but that was obviously before Shawnee was back. But now you've got this week. Well, this week you've got Adam Fanua-Blake, who's possibly been one of the top 3. One of the best front rowers in the game at the moment, and he's, for Shawnee to actually play good, you're going to need someone like an Adam in there. So if they stay healthy, they can. I see no reason why. But then once again, I spoke to you boys. Brownie's obviously been listening to the podcast. Chuck Jazz in at lock and Josh Curran in the back row. They did look a bit better. 20-6 was, could have been a lot more. So it's good to see Brownie taking our notes and jotting them down into his game plan for the week. But Jazz out, that's another big as well. So look, I'm a coin toss, Paul, but the heart's hoping they're in there.
Right.
And what do you think?
Oh, they don't make the 8.
Still? We're still doing that bit, are we?
I'm just looking at it. You just said, I like the look of them this week, but then they've got a tough stretch coming up.
Roosters Storm next 2 after that. That Anzac Day game is not one that I don't know if I really want to watch because previous iterations of it haven't gone well.
The way the Storm are playing.
Yeah.
I guess another positive out of that game on the weekend was the defense of the Warriors, and in particular, the defense of the outside backs. I think it was Montoya and was it Cossie who came in off their wings a number of times and stopped the Broncos dead. They just, if I'm looking at the game in the first half and I'm Kevy Walters, when I'm in the dressing room and going, boys, how about we miss out the centre a couple of times? Just throw it straight to the wing because he's been left the wingers were being left alone. The problem was they weren't getting the ball. But the credit of the Warriors, their defense was very, very good.
I like Pompey in the centres over the wing. I think defensively he's a lot better. Love to see Cossie on the wing there, big body. He's good. Good to see him back this week. You're right. They're great. And then the one time the Broncos did throw the big skip ball out to Corey Oates. Yep. We had Sean and someone else come across and cover and bundle them into touch. It was good defensively. So the Broncos didn't look like scoring a try at all. That one try they got through Adam Reynolds' brilliance.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Individual brilliance. That's all it was.
Yeah. As a team, they
they nearly got lucky when Reece Walsh let that one go in the dead ball line with Selwyn Cobbo coming in late with 3 or 4 minutes to go. But again, that's probably individual brilliance rather than anything else.
They didn't look like they had any idea of it as a team.
No.
And that's what you need to see from them, I think. With everyone knowing their job and doing it properly, because if they do that, they're classy enough to score, 20 points. Usually 18 points in an NRL game should win you an NRL game. There's average maybe 16 to 18 points is enough to win a game. It should be. So, if they can keep this up and keep defending like they have, even I know the Tigers game was a bit rubbish and the Tigers weren't up to it, but they still kept them to a low score as well. I think if they keep trending this way, we know they can score the points. So then it answers our question. They will be in the 8 if they can defend like that.
Even go back to the Titans game. While the Titans scored 20, they kept them. I think they only allowed 2 in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been pretty good defensively.
Sticking with the Warriors, there's a number of Aussie Warriors who aren't keen on coming to this side of the Tasman.
Sorry, before we get there.
Yeah.
I just want to bring to everyone's attention, if they haven't seen, there was
the Jesse Arthurs,
the try-scoring Quinella that we had available last week. 3 punters collected huge.
Well, it was paying huge.
He was paying $376
for Jesse Arthurs to score the first try and for Jesse Arthurs to score the second try of the match.
Obviously on loan from the Broncos, so a bit of an omen bet for these punters. 2 people had $10 on, one at 376s, one at 326s.
Oh, yeah, the big move.
So they collected a touch over 3,000, and someone had $5 on at 401s. So you collected $2,000 for that.
Oh,
congrats to you guys.
That's fantastic.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Love an omen bet. That's one of the greats, that one.
Right. Any ex-Warriors in the Cowboys this week, or any ex-Cowboys?
Brown.
Well, hello. I'll tell you what, it'll be paying more than 400 to score the first and second tries of the match.
Yeah.
All righty. Right, back to the Aussie Warriors.
Yes.
No, that was a great one. That's brilliant. Was that a power play? Was it?
No,
try scorer Quinella.
Oh, try scorer Quinella's.
Yeah.
Right, cool. The Aussie Warriors, there's a number who aren't keen on coming this side of the Tasman, Blake. First of all, how can that be?
It stinks, to be honest. I hate everything about this. I'm a bit pissed off, to be frank. There's kids in the Warriors system. There's kids in New Zealand. There's kids over there that have left their families in New Zealand to play for the Warriors. And we've gone and bought these players. Fair enough. We've been over there for 2 years to play for the New Zealand Warriors. So obviously we want an NRL to come back to New Zealand. You've got even kids in other systems in the NRL that are good enough to play NRL, but are stuck behind maybe a Tom Trebojevic or a Dane Gagai or someone like that. They might want a chance to come back to New Zealand and play. For me, it's like taking an NRL spot for granted. It's not the easiest thing to get. As you know, there's only so many people that I think the average might be 30 games, if that, of an NRL player. So for me, it stinks. I hate. I think I would, if I had my way, I'd drop all the players that don't want to come back, and that's what I would do. But I suppose I know it's hard because you're trying to please your fans, you're trying to win games, trying to win a competition. But for me, I just think it's taken the NRL spot for granted, and you're in a position of privilege, and there's other kids and other people in other systems that should be in your position if you don't want to come back and play for this team.
Carl, you've got to be disappointed.
Yeah, oh yeah, it sucks. Especially, given our reasonably big signings for us in the last couple of years. Your Aikens and your Lodges that have come out and said that, and Walsh has got the get out clause and whatever. I don't know. I feel like, it seems dumb. Like, you sign this let's say Aitken, for example, he signs this 3-year deal 2 years ago, obviously with the thought that they're going to head back to New Zealand. Like that's the ultimate goal. No one knew how long this, COVID pandemic was going to last for, and it's still going on, right? But everyone's sort of slowly getting back to normal. But to come out and say, okay, yeah, we're going home now, it's like, oh no, I don't really want to go to New Zealand. I saw an interview Sean Johnson did with Ben Searle. Searle Talk Sports. He's got a podcast here in New Zealand, and Sean said that a few of the Australian boys were asking, like, what's it like in New Zealand? Do you have beaches? Do you have this and that? Like, just absolutely no clue, and just like
electricity.
Yeah, so
Wi-Fi.
It's
when you come over, all you see really is you come in and you're in the viaduct or around there. You might go to training, or you might not even train at a field because you might train back in Aussie and then fly over, play the next day. You might go out to a nightclub in town, get on the plane, go home. So you don't ever see anything. So it's like in their mind, it's just the city. So that's all they're privy to, like from being over here. So yeah, like obviously look. I'm going off a bit here because but there might be underlying factors like family problems or issues and things like that might keep players back. So I don't know the full story, but if it's just the simple fact that, hey, I don't want to go to New Zealand to play NRL, that's what I'm annoyed at.
Yeah, I'll play.
He's got the jersey, just hasn't worn it. I was watching I think Monty Beetham was interviewing Mark Tukey, and Tukey was just saying when he first got signed by the Warriors, I think him and 2 other guys came over at the same time in November before the season started. And the movie at the time that they'd seen in Australia was Once We're Warriors. And they came over here and they were staying at a hotel, a motel or something in Mangere or around there. And it was Melbourne Cup Day. And they thought, oh, let's head down the pub, put a few bets on, watch the races there. And they walked into the first pub they got to, and they saw those crates on the bar, just like the scene from Once We're Warriors. And they looked around, they put their bets on. Let's go back to the motel room, boys. So you're right. It just goes to show that I guess for someone who hasn't been over here or has only lived in one part of Australia, they have actually absolutely no idea of what life is like over here. So I can understand their sort of, I guess, a wee bit of anxiousness. But to be fair, we call Auckland another state of Australia anyway. It's pretty much, it's closer to Australia than it is to New Zealand. So it's not that far away. And you're not that far away from family either. I mean, if you've got family in Perth, you're further away from them if you're in Sydney than if the family's in Auckland, sort of thing. So yeah, it's a shame this is going on because
they need to do all they possibly can to lock up Reece Walsh.
He's gone
for a long term.
He's gone.
He's gone.
He probably is.
He's
So I'm
gone.
saying if they've got a chance, they need to do all they can to lock him up, because he's the type of guy that will attract other guys to the club.
I'm sort of glad that they're probably going to be losing Lodge, because the amount of money they were going to be spending on him was just a ridiculous amount for me. I'm glad he turned them down because I think that money can be better spent elsewhere. But yeah, I agree. If they could keep Walsh, that'd be great. In his mind, I think he's already gone, and he's either going to be at the Broncos or the Dolt at Redcliffe next season.
I guess Adam Fanua-Blake's extension's pretty big coup for the Warriors. Like he's a guy that can probably attract a few guys sort of in the Steve Price mold. So yeah, that's a big plus. You just need that, one more sort of X factor player, I think, especially if we're going to lose Reece Walsh.
I think when it comes to the Warriors, they want to wrap up players like Brandon Smith before they get taken overseas, keep them here, because he's just I mean, I know he's at the Storm, but he is an out and out.
But would Brandon Smith have been Brandon Smith if he stayed at the Warriors?
That's very true. That's very true.
It's hard to say. But I mean, we've had players like Stacey Jones who never went across to Australia, stayed here for the island, and he was an absolute superstar.
Put him in the Hall of Fame. Do it.
We're jumping down a rabbit hole here.